Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, my PM update. And again, flooding possible almost the entire week, maybe through Thursday it looks like at this point. So just stay weather aware this week, and note that we have a flash flood watch in the DC area for parts of northern Virginia and a couple of counties there in southern Maryland. And we don't want a repeat of the flood damage from last night, but for the latest on that, you can go to CWG.news/FloodDamage. We wrote a report on just how a month's rain fell in the greater Alexandria area last night, and we are hoping for not a repeat anytime soon, but tropical downpours are possible this week. We can't completely eliminate the possibility, but for now, the good news is radar has the heaviest activity staying south of town, south of that flash flood watch for now, but this could migrate into the flash flood watch area later tonight. So please stay weather aware with us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Capital Weather and on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm simulcasting to you on all three platforms right now, and I'm Campbell Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thank you so much for joining in, Michael and Peter. Michael says almost 5 inches per hour last night in Leesburg. Yes, I hope your family and property are okay. And Peter, thanks again for tuning in. All right, sunset's getting later and later. We're now at earlier and earlier sunset, shorter days. So right now, 8:02 p.m. You'll talk to me before 8 p.m. next Sunday for these weekly Sunday sunset chats, these live Q&As. I really appreciate you tuning in each week. Thank you so much. But we're highlighting all the rain that is forecast to fall this week. It is coming out of the tropics, out of the Gulf of Mexico, this feed coming up with the remnants of Fred. We may even see the remnants of Grace later this week. There's a slight chance those feed into this tropical stream of moisture coming off of the very warm, moist Gulf of Mexico. And we could see 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, isolated, patchy flooding possible, and downpours could add a quick inch to some of these totals in the region. So please keep that in mind. We've got lots of heavy rain, flooding rain potentially possible here in the red hashed area. Here's Monday and then Tuesday as well. The air is going to remain very moist. Even though we are cooler this week, it could be muggy and gross at times. So please remember that. And again, here's a kind of a static map of what we could expect through Friday. Most of the rain that we're concerned about causing flooding is through Thursday, but we're going to have to keep an eye on much, if not all, of this work week for patchy flooding potential. Good evening, Drew. Thank you so much for tuning in. Antonio, I don't know if we're yet looking at a return to La Nina winter for 21-22. I haven't seen the equatorial Pacific waters really give that signal just yet, but I'll keep monitoring that for you. And we've got Liz. Thunder is going to be bad as last night. It woke you up. Yes, it was very loud. I don't think it will be quite as bad where you are tonight. If you saw activity last night, you shouldn't quite, there's a decent chance you shouldn't see the same repeat as last night, but that is part of the concern with this flash flood watch. Please note this area, Northern Virginia and Southern Maryland, more flooding downpours are possible. Yes, I suppose thunder is slightly possible, but we just have to keep an eye on it throughout the region. I wish I could say more, but we don't want a repeat of last night's crazy flood damage. Go to CWG.news/FloodDamage for the month's worth of rain that fell in Alexandria. Let's see, Brian, friendly greetings to you as well. And Lisa, tons of rain. It was crazy last night. And for the future cast, looking forward this week, yes, we do see lots more rain. 2, 3, 4 inches are possible in the region. Let's see, we've got Deborah. Yes, these storms. You felt like Dorothy on Tuesday here in Fauquier. Yes, more of that is possible. And in Fauquier, you are in this flash flood watch. So please keep that in mind for, actually it looks like southern parts of Fauquier County. So keep that in mind, Deborah. All right, Lisa hates muggy and gross. Well, at least the good news, despite the dew points that could be a bit kind of gross this week, I put that under there quickly. Muggy, gross, 70, 75 degree dew points are possible, but you can at least see that temperatures are staying below 90, so that's some good news if you did not like the hot and sweaty conditions recently. And for the latest forecast, my PM update, I actually wrote it at CWG.news/latest. Hello, Steph. Thanks so much. Go to CWG.news/hat. I think we have some winter hats for sale. Alex, enjoy the heat wave last week. My hot weather lover has tuned in from YouTube. I love seeing that. Prognosis for the Nats game Tuesday night, Mark, 50-50 at best, without a delay or postponement. Any idea of the G storm track, yes, it is over Hispaniola right now and delivering. Let's go to the tropics really quick. Right now, here's where we are on the list. We've had Fred, we have Grace out there right now. And for the latest on the tropics, you can go to CWG.news/tropics. But Grace right now is unfortunately going toward earthquake ravaged Haiti. It's going to add some headaches, huge problems there with some mudslides. So you can see Fred there. Grace is a tropical depression there in the open circle. And we could have Henri form there near Bermuda sometime this week. So we need to watch that. And again, the latest on the list is now in the second column. Henri would be the next name. And of course, we're expecting an above average tropical season. So keep that in mind as well. So again, for the latest on the tropics, go to CWG.news/tropics, and we will keep an eye on that for you. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks for joining me. A very wet, potentially patchy flooding type of week through at least Thursday. It looks like we need to kind of stay weather aware. Let's see. Francis got relatively little rain last night in Oakton. I'm glad you are safe and dry. New windows in Ashburn, says Kristen. The first day this week that could happen, maybe Friday, Kristen, is your best bet. I'm sorry for that. If you need a weekday, this coming work week. Next weekend, Lita, still could be a little bit unsettled. I'm willing to show you the high temperatures for Saturday. There we go. All right. So still maybe below 90 degrees. It could be a little unsettled, a little bit muggy. Please stay tuned to CapitalWeatherGang.com. I have a slight concern. We could see a cold front approaching kind of from the west and northwest of our region that could set off some rain, but not guaranteed just yet. And looking into next work week, we have a slight chance of being above average for our temperatures, which are still averaging in kind of near the upper 80s for much of the region, if not most of the region. Precipitation, we could dry out. Thankfully, a drying signal in next week's atmosphere, so that is some good news. Let's hope that comes to pass so we can get some good drying in the region. All right, so let's see. Let me put up the flash flood watch that has been issued for the region. And for the latest, go to CWG.news/FloodDamage on the report from last night's crazy rains. Deborah, thanks for tuning in. And Tina, Frederick County is looking like you could see some rain this week. Let me show you the entire map of the region. This is just streaming in the Gulf of Mexico. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain is possible by the time you talk to me next Sunday for these live Q&As, these weekly chats. I appreciate you all tuning in. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. We have lots of rain, tropical feed of just channeling the moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico from the tropics. So we are unsettled tomorrow with red indicating some flooding rain potential for Monday and Tuesday as well. Excessive rainfall remains possible. And again, we're just kind of in a flood watch mode for much of this week, and my latest PM update at CWG.news/latest right there. And again, flooding is possible almost all week through Thursday. It looks like we have this tropical feed of moisture. Laura has a hot weather lover there too. So Alex, look at Laura from Facebook and Alex from YouTube. You guys are the hot weather lovers representing. I love that. Alex says he lost power last Tuesday. I'm sorry to hear that. Hello, Adriana from Frederick. Maria, when do we have the latest sunset and what time does it occur? I believe it's right around the summer solstice, right? June 21st. And I believe it is, I can do this, 8:47 p.m. Is our latest, 8:37 p.m. is our latest sunset in DC. That's awesome. You almost stumped me, I think. Angel's ready for snow, not in the forecast just yet. And Renee, let's see, yes, rain. For much of the region, we could use some of this rain, and I'll show you. Here's the 7-day forecast for our region, kind of a static map that goes through, not 7 days, but it goes through Friday evening or so, this upcoming end of the work week. 2, 3, 4 inches are possible, and I want you to keep in mind, this is kind of a broad brush, isolated tropical downpours, these monsoon rains that could plague us at times this week, could lay down a quick inch or more than what you're seeing here. So please keep that in mind. And remember, turn around, don't drown. If you encounter a water-covered pathway forward, whether on your bike, walking, jogging, driving, turn around, don't drown. Remember, it takes very little moving water to sweep you away in a vehicle, in a bike, anything. Please do not be a flooding victim this upcoming week. Thank you so much. Now, the drought situation, we need some rain in parts of the region, especially south and west of town. in parts of Virginia. And the good news is, with this tropical feed of moisture, we do see a lot of alleviation this week with the abnormally dry and slight drought conditions in parts of Virginia. And looking forward for the season, we're in good forecast shape from the drought monitor perspective for the eastern United States. So don't worry too much. Yes, we still have to water our gardens and crops a lot. Maybe next week when we have a signal for below average precipitation next work week. But we could also stand to dry out after all of this rainfall this week. And again, temperatures next week, slight chance of being above average while we're looking ahead for you. And a quick look at the tropics. You can go to CWG.news/tropics. We've got Fred out there, Grace out there, and Henri is the next name on the list. And that could develop later this week there near Bermuda. So keep that in mind if you're interested in your time at the beach coming up. We're approaching peak season. Right around September 10th is the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. Todd, thank you so much for tuning in. And yes, Alex, I agree. I hope this week's storms are not like the ones that took out your power recently. Yes, Renee, they need some rain in California. Thank you for that, noting that. Charlene, no chance of seeing the Perseid shower, I suppose. It's going to be 80 to 90% mostly cloudy in the region. I am very sorry. That's the quick answer. Yep. And I do believe we had it. We wrote up the Perseids on capitalweathergang.com earlier this week as well. I hope you got to see them as they peaked around August 12th. Let's see. Severe weather threat tomorrow, Drew, generally in the form of flooding rain threats. I don't know how many severe storms might be issued, severe storm warnings might be issued, but it's possible as the remnants of Fred get a little bit closer to our region. Let's take a look at the map. Here's Monday, and Fred is making landfall, perhaps along the Florida Panhandle there, and then it gets closer, kind of as a tropical depression there, on Tuesday, maybe in the Georgia, South Carolina region. So we need to watch that as that low pressure center, the remnants of Fred get closer to us the middle part of this week. Sure, there's an outside chance of a slight tornado threat, but really it's a flooding rainfall threat and not even a wind threat for us in the greater DC region, the mid-Atlantic. So keep that in mind. And yes, it's going to be muggy this week with 70 to 75 degree dew points. So muggy, gross conditions, despite fairly cool conditions with us being kind of cloudy and rainy this week and socked in and very little sunshine. My PM update is now at CWG.news/latest. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay weather aware this week. Flooding is a periodic but fairly constant concern through at least Thursday. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If you encounter a water-covered pathway forward, don't go through it. Turn around, don't drown. Please, thank you. Annette is not liking this weather forecast. Anthony, thunder in Alexandria, Virginia tonight. It really frightens my puppy, Sophia. I'm sorry to hear that. Stephanie is so done with the 90 degrees. We have on our heat counter 38 90-degree days or hotter in DC. But the good news is we are pretty much done with 94 this work week, so that's awesome. Alex prefers heat wave over the polar vortex. Hey, Dingo, thank you for tuning in, and do be careful of flooding this week. And David, I think, is using sarcasm, liking the downpours, and the phone was going off last night and waking us up, I know. Let's see, we've got anything else I've missed. Doris, more storms are possible this week. Yes, indeed. No thunder guaranteed tonight again in Alexandria, but of course we're in a flash flood watch in Alexandria again. And last night we did a report on last night's craziness. CWG.news/FloodDamage, a month's worth of rain falling in one night, 3, 4, even 5 inches of rain, I think, in a couple spots. Let's see, we've got Melissa. Upcoming weekend could be a little unsettled, but should stay below 90, fairly seasonable. Here's a sneak peek I'm willing to show you. Kind of below 90 degrees, maybe on Saturday. I wouldn't make unchangeable plans just yet. Do have a plan B. A cold front could be coming in to keep us unsettled with some rain. So I can't give you a high confidence forecast for this weekend just yet. But there's a small chance as we go into the late weekend to early next week, work week wise, we have above average temperatures, a slight chance, and precipitation, a signal for below average precipitation, so we get to dry out a little bit as well. So stay tuned as we get toward the weekend. We need to watch the progression of a cold front. We'll be at capitalweathergang.com anytime you need us, 24/7. And of course, follow us on all 3 of the platforms I'm simulcasting to you tonight: Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Really appreciate you tuning in for these weekly Sunday Sunset Chats. I'm Camden Walker, doing this weekly live Q&A. For capitalweathergang.com, though, we're open 24/7 for you. And of course, you'll be talking to me earlier and earlier. Sunset tonight was at 8:02 p.m., and that is sneaking backward, and it's going to be before 8 p.m. next Sunday when you do this weekly tune-in with me for these weekly chats. So latest forecast that I wrote, the PM update, CWG.news/latest. And again, flooding concerns all week. Please remember, turn around, don't drown if you encounter a water cover pathway forward. These tropical downpours mean business for much, if not all, of this week. Flash flood watch is in effect for portions of our region. And last night we reported on last night's craziness around Alexandria at CWG.news/FloodDamage. Doris, thank you for tuning in. Most welcome. Danny, best time of day to sail, looking for the wind. If you can wait till middle of this week and safely stay near shore, there is a little bit of a breeze, but I don't see many wind gusts above 20, 25 miles per hour this week. Dingo, yes, just a hair early, 30 seconds early this week. We're getting before 8 p.m. next week for the sunsets. And Olney Gary is looking mighty wet this week as well. Radar so far tonight staying away from the moment from this flash flood region, but I'm worried that this is going to progress a little bit northward tonight and impact this flash flood region. But here, look at this entire week. Here's a quick animation to show you the speed of tropical moisture coming with the remnants of Fred that are going to make a landfall in the next 24, 36 hours along the Florida Panhandle coast. And this just keeps feeding into our region right off the tropics, right off the Gulf of Mexico. This warm water, very muggy air, very juicy air. It's going to be squeezed out for everything it has. Every little raindrop is going to really be a concern for these tropical downpours this upcoming week. So please keep that in mind. We've got the potential for flooding in the red hashed area, heavy rain and flooding on Monday and Tuesday. And here you can see the low pressure system, the remnants in Georgia, South Carolina region. A tropical depression, Fred, moving slowly toward our region and throwing us rain, not wind, but perhaps we'll have to watch middle of the week for a couple isolated storms or so. And again, the air is very juicy, very muggy, 70, 75 degree dew points this week. Despite being cool, just be prepared. It's going to feel a little bit tropical at times. Gary, thank you for tuning in. Most welcome. And we have Danny. Thank you for tuning in about the sailing question I answered. And this week, 5 years ago, it was 100 degrees in DC. Alex, good memory. David, I do not believe National actually set a record for daily rainfall last night. Some of it fell after it was divided between 2 different days and reporting periods, but it was on the edge of that. It only got 2.6 inches, I believe, whereas a few miles away, down near Rose Hill, Franconia, that got 3 and 4 inches, even 5 inches of rain, I believe. And for the latest on last night's crazy rains and storms around Alexandria, go to CWG.news/FloodDamage. We wrote up the report there on CapitalWeatherGang.com. And tonight we are again, unfortunately, in a flash flood watch around the same areas of Alexandria as well. But not a guarantee we see storms and flooding again, but just keep wary, weather aware mindset tonight, and make sure your phone has location services on and is connected to cellular service so that if there is a weather alert, is pushed to your phone and can wake you up if you need to take action as well. So that's another way to do it. If you can go to sleep, don't be too anxious, but at least you can have your phone wake you up. And you can be on Do Not Disturb, but do make sure it is on Audible, your ringer. All right, Anthony, I haven't had a good one in a while. Stephanie, not too steady for these rains at times. There'll be periods of rain, then there'll be breaks. Then we might even see this week some breaks of sunshine that then destabilizes the atmosphere, percolates it, bubbles up more storms, and we can see more downpours develop 2 or 3 hours later after seeing peaks of sunshine. So a little monsoon-like, a little bit tropical downpour mindset for this week. Flooding is a concern for much, if not all, of this week. There we go. The latest PM update that I wrote at CWG.news/latest. And again, flooding possible almost all week, so please stay weather aware this week and turn around, don't drown if you encounter a water-covered roadway. All right, 1 more minute on the air here. A couple severe storms can't be ruled out this week, Larry, but flooding is a main concern, the main threat for this week. But yes, as the remnants of Fred get closer in the middle part of this week, here it is on Monday, making landfall along the Florida Panhandle, and Tuesday, again, these red areas, this hash marks of red is where we see flooding rain possible. The tropical depression kind of center of Fred is kind of near the Georgia, South Carolina area. And as that moves closer to us midweek, we could see 1 or 2 minor tornadoes. It's slightly possible, but I don't, so far, they're not in the cards for a widespread severe weather outbreak. So that's good news. It really is just a rain threat for us this week. All right. Yes, Liz, thank you to Jason and Matthew for being up late last night to keep us updated. And for the latest on that report from capitalweathergang.com from my team, go to CWG.news/FloodDamage and flagging again tonight, flash flood watch there for you in the Alexandria area, for parts of Northern Virginia as well, and a couple counties in Southern Maine. Hey, Barb, thanks for tuning in. You have a great week as well. This is the week that True's Garden was waiting for. And yes, if you don't hear thunder, you're okay at the beach, Terry. But remember, when thunder roars, head indoors, because if you hear thunder, you're close enough to the storm center for lightning to strike you. All right. Okay, we've got Drew. Last question. If you want immediate predictions for a frontal system, you're probably using your body just to feel out the pressure differences. I love that, Drew. And Ward, thank you for tuning in. That's most kind. All right. I am going to head off, wishing you a safe and flood-free week. If at all possible, please stay dry, but flooding is a concern almost all week through at least Thursday, it looks like, as we have a tropical feed of moisture moving in. The remnants of Tropical Storm Fred making landfall tomorrow in the Florida Panhandle. That is going to just enhance our rains further as it moves. This is me dragging moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico and dragging it toward the Mid-Atlantic and the DC region. And my latest forecast, the PM update I wrote, is at CWG.news/latest. I'm Camden Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in for these weekly Sunday Sunset Live chat Q&A sessions, and I will see you next week before 8 p.m. as our sunsets get earlier and earlier. Stay safe with the tropical rains this week, please, and turn around, don't drown if you encounter a water-covered roadway. Bye for now. Thank you, Terry, Angel, Dingo, Steph.